Ubchinas Odom Kadmon, the Bechinas Ak Odom Kadmon, who Hanikro Raive the Chol Raivim. That is the Rotzein of all the Ritzoiners. So you have the level of Rotzein, and then you have the level of the Rotzein of all the Ritzoiners, which goes up even higher to the level of Odom Kadmon. As it's written about this in the Posik Lamnatzeach al Hashminis. So it says, interesting, what happens when you write the letter Yud, Hayud, when you write the letter Yud, so first you make the upper point, then you make the body of the Yud. So you start by the point on the top, the Koitze Elyoy, and then you go to the body of the Yud. But you don't make first the body of the Yud and then you add the point. Why is that? Behind Ki mishum shemahakoitz shel hayud shehu keser, because from the koitz of the yud that represents the level of keser, the hainu, which is the level of Odom Kadmon, the hainu ak Odom Kadmon, which is the raive, the chol raive, the rotzon of all ritzonos. Mimenu shenimshach etzem hayud. It from that comes the yud. So you have the koitz, that is the keser, that is Odom Kadmon, and the yud, which is chokhmah, she chokhmah v'atzilus, come from the koitz. That's why you have to write it in the way they're nimshach, first the point, and then you get the body, the chokhmah and atzilus. V'ayin bepirush haramaz b'zoya reish parsha shlach daf kuf nantes omid aleph, the Mamer klas omim, and the Mamer klas omim. Similar to this was a custom in the holy mouth of the Magid, the Rabbi Magid. On the Posik, it says, Koire hadoiros merosh. It's a Posik in Yeshaya. So he types it, Koire hadoiros merosh, meaning the Roish is Odom Kadmon. The Doirosh, the generations, that's Chochmah. So from the level of Roish, from the level of Odom Kadmon, Hashem Koire brings about the Doirosh, the generations. They come from Odom Kadmon, the Pirush. So he explained Shekoire Eser Sviros, that he calls out the Eser Sviros Merosh. You do Roish Ubchinas Odom Kadmon. You call it from Odom Kadmon. Liyistim Shochir Mumizgalin Lamato, so that the Eser Sviros should extend and reveal below in the level of Atzilus. Kimi Shekoire Lachaveire Hanire Loy Merachik. What does it mean? You call them? It's when you see your friend who is in a distance and you say, Ruven, Bolekam, Ruven, come here. So the Eibishter is basically calling the Sfiras to come here. They are up in Odom Kadmon, and we're calling them, come here, come to Atzilus. So it goes into now the brackets, Vatam. We're going to explain now what it's all called. Why is this called Roish? And they're called Doris. Vatam shenikra Odom Kadmon Roish. It says Koira Doris Merosh. Why do we call them Merosh? Yeshloim Rapim Ashekosuf the Mishnah's Chassidim. Base was written in Mishnah Chassidim Sechta Klolus Hoylemes Reish Perik Base. In fact, the close is a Reish Perik Base. So over there he says the Odom Kadmon who soid ha'arich shel arba oilmes sabya. We have the level of arich of Atzilus, but we have the level of Odom Kadmon becomes the arich of all our elements of Elmas Avya, Atzilus B'nei Tzirasiyah. Why is it the Arich Shekoilel Kol Abiyah? He includes all of Atzilus B'riyah Sira Kemoi Arich Ampin Legab Atzilus, just like Arich Ampin relative to Atzilus includes all of Atzilus. So the level of Adon Kadmin is the Arich of Adon. It includes all four elements. Mashikosuv Beitz Chaim B'Shari Gedush Shom. Okay, so now we know that Adam Kadmin relative to Abiyah is like Arich. And Arich Nikra Roish V'Shoirish HaNetzolim HaItayim. And Arich is called the Roish and the Shoirish HaNetzolim HaItayim. Mashikosuv Beitz Chaim Shar Memala Perigimel. As it is in the Chaim Memala Perigimel. V'Loche Nikra Gamkein Adam Kadmin Roish. That's why Adam Kadmin is called the Roish as well. So that explains Koida Hadoiris Merosh. Why are the Esses Sviras called Doiris? He calls the Esses Sviras. But he called Nikra Esvir Doiris. Shleima Meloshin Dori Dori. Doris means lines, line. The Hainu Shuris. Those Esses Sviras are lines. Why? Ki Chabad Him Shura Achas. Chochom Bin Adas is one line. Chagas, Chesed Gvura Tiferes, is Shura Beis, the second line, Chulu. And that's a Chod Yisoid, will be the third line. Begam Meloshin Dur Mamish. And it can actually mean a generation, because also, Ki Chochmo Bina Nikra Aveim, Chochmo Bina are called father and mother. The Chesed Gvura Tiferes Chagas, Nikroim Bonim, their children. Unihi nikroim bnei bonim. That's called grandchildren. So there's actually doiris. Kamashikosu b'mokam achar, as written elsewhere with Pirush, umevi goyel livnei v'neihem. So it brings a redeemer livnei v'neihem that is to the level of nihi. That's the bnei bonim. Ayin Likutei Torah Parshas Vayeshev Bepirush Doiri Noso v'Nigla. That's a pasuk in Yeshaya. Doiri Noso v'Nigla. So over there is also explaining the word Doiri over there, Lashon of Doiri. And V'ayin Oid Me'inyan Koida HaDoiris Meroish B'Zoyar Parshas Lech Lecha. In der Parshas Lech Lecha, da Pevova mit Aleph, und Parshas Vayechi, da Frisch Chazayin mit Beis, the Koi al Nishmes HaTzadikim. So Koi da HaDoiris Meirosh, the generations, meaning from the Tzadikim. So V'gam Lefizos, Shaprish Pirush Merosh Daina'ach. Even if we say Koi da HaDoiris means the Tzadikim, it's also Meirosh is Odom Kadman, as we'll see later up in Mutzaim. V'ayin beitz Chaim sharches perik heisha kosav, and it's Chaim writes, ule'ela megulgalto delay yesh boi dugmas b'chinas atik da'atzilus atkan l'shonim. That higher than the gulgalto, that is the level of kesed, level of arich. So he says there is an atik similar to the atik of Atzilus. There is that level of Adam Kadman which becomes the, as we'll see. Behuva bezoyra rekia parshas bereishis gabe pirush Mamer hazoyar daftes vov bereish hurmenuso. And I'm not sure. I'm not sure is what it stands for. Lemore Mempe Katz. He's not the author of the Zohar Rekia, so and he's not the author of Reishur Menusa. That's the maybe there is another Zohar Rekia. Maybe there's another author of the Zohar Rekia. Maybe there's another. I'm not sure. I gotta look this up. All right. Upirush Shom. So he explains over there. I mean, maybe that's why he says Mamer Zohar Bereish Manusa, as opposed to the other Zera Rikia. I'm not sure exactly what this stands for over here, but we'll go weiter. Upirush Shom, over there he explains the Kshem Shemalchus Da'ak Nase Atik Lelo Matzilus, just as Malchus of Odom Kadmon. That is the lowest level of Malchus, lowest level of Odom Kadmon, the level of Malchus of Odom Kadmon. Becomes the Atik for Olam Hatzilus, Kal Chaderech Zeh, similar, Malchus the Atzilus, Nasa Atik Lebriya. Malchus the Atzilus he's talking about because Odom Kadmon is the Bria of Klolus. The Malchus the Atzilus, that's the Ein Sof, becomes an Atik Lebriya. So he explains it. That when you talk about general in the world, this specific oilamais is Atzilus Bri Yitzirasiyah. But in Klolus oilamais, Nikra Odom Kadmon is called the Ak, is called Odom Debriya. That's Lo Odom Debriya. Atik Debriya Hol Yoinazu, and the Atik for this supreme Bria. Nasim and Malchus da Atzilus. Malchus da Atzilus of Klolus Oilamus. But it's Leimer, so what does this mean? B'chinas Oir Sof Mamer shenikra Atzilus the Klolus Kenal. This is Ora from the Ein Sof, which is actually called Atzilus the Klolus. But he doesn't say Malchus over there. He just says Malchus the Atzilus. He says Malchus the but he doesn't say like the Ein Sof. But when Ein Shaykh Leimer B'Atzilus Elyon Shemchinas Ein Sof, you cannot say with regards to the supreme level of Atzilus the Klolus, that it is that is a level of Ein Sof. We can't say about it Loshen Malchus. You can't use the language of Malchus saying Malchus of the Ein Sof. You can't say Malchus the Atzilus. He says before Malchus Atzilus, Shemoire Aloshen Sfiris. So here you're saying the Malchus of Atzilus become a Atik Libri the Klolus. So he says the truth, you can't say Eich Shaykh Loimer, not Ein. Eich Shaykh, how could you say Batzilus Aloshem say in Sof, Loshem Malchus Atzilus, Shemoire Aloshen Sfiris? That shows that it's a language of Sfiris. How could you say that? And because that's what it says over there, that Malchus Atzilus Nas Atik Libriya. That's what's written in Eitz Chaim Shamal Perigimel. That is the lower level of all the levels of the Ein Sof. As if we say, just by example, it's Malchus of Malchus. When we talk about the level that becomes Atik Libriya, that's Malchus of Atzilus, of the clothes. Even though it's not so. Why? Over there, there's not even any image and sphere at all. We just talk so for the ear to hear, that's what we talk. So, and that's the source. Over there, Amashikos Shom, Dav Kuf Chav Chesed from the base, Tov Roshim Rishimu. Tov is the last letter of the Aleph base. So that makes the mark. The Tov is the Roshim Rishimu that makes the mark. So that is sort of to say, as the over there, it goes in, explains, basically it's the lowest level. It's the level of the Tov, which leaves a mark, and that mark becomes the lowest level of the Yisod, becomes the Atik of Bria of Aklos. Over there on this pasuk says Me'inyan Hanashomes Achadoshes she's Galul Osid, about the new souls that will be revealed in the future. Shehem Mivchinas Eirin Sof HaSeviv Kol Ha'almim Shel Mayel Ma'akav Chulu. They come even from the higher, or even from the Kav, so it means even in a higher place. Efshel Leimar Kibchinas HaKav Ima Yeseh Hores Esof Mamer Shenikra Tzilus. Although the level of the Kav, it's called Atzilus. Because it extends through first being a tzimtzum, a restriction of the oil, and then an empty space, and then he was mamshach the Kav. That is the level of Atzilus that becomes Atik Libriya. That's the level of the Kav. The Gemara Shamal, that's Atzilus. What happens with the Malchus of Atzilus that becomes an Atik for Bria of Mamish Hainu Shabakeas Hamosoch Shabakas Hamosoch Shabena Atzilus Libria. It breaks through that cover that is between Atzilus and Bria. The Yered Asumis Labeshes Begimul Rishon is Darech Ampin de Bria. And it goes down and it dresses up in the first three Chochma bin Adas of Arecham Bria. So we're all talking about here in the level of higher Klolos. So what happens? The Malchus that Atzilus breaks through. And it goes through the Gimel Aracham Meshkos Beitz Chaim Shar Seder Abiyah Shar Memnei Perek Aleph Kachal Derech Zeh Lemailo. Likewise, it's higher. Similar much. Liyos His Havus Es Sfiris Mein Sof Baruch Hu. That in order for it to be the creation of the 10 Sfiris Mein Sof Baruch Hu, Hoitzorach Tzimtzum HaKamponu. There needed to be a restriction, an empty space. It's a much more powerful restriction, endlessly bigger. It's greater than a curtain, than a cover. It's a mokampone. Empty space means a bigger restriction, much endlessly bigger. And then you have the Kav breaks through the Tzimtzum and it shines in Ak. That's the Yiboka. So Inyan Oz Yiboka Kashachar Erecha. There's the idea that it breaks through. It's only a Kav v'chut and I shine alone. The Pirush Be'inyan Chut Ha'Ein Sof. Over there, when we say the string of the Ein Sof, that Chut, Kav v'chut, that's the 11th one. It's not part of the 10th. Even on the highest level, the Chut is higher. 10 and not 11. Because 11 is higher, on a higher madrega. You are one, but you're not in the cheshbon. That's the 11th one. Omno Bechinas Soivukul Almin, by the Giloid and Sof Shalom Mailo Bechinas Kav. The Ein Sof, which is higher than the level of Kav. Zo Bechinas Atzilus Ha'elyon Mamash. That's the actual level, high level of Atzilus. Gilu Ha'elam Shalom Mailo Ma'atzimtzum. That's the Elam that's higher than Tzimtzum. So this is what he said over here. That comes through a tzimtzum. And you have a higher level which comes not through a tzimtzum. That's even higher than the level of Kav. Maybe this includes what Rizal says, that in the future there will be Pnimius Atik will be revealed. So this was all, this whole Shmuas today was about the level of Ak. And what we're saying is that we have to bring down because we said the Ravid, the Chol Ravid, comes from the level of Kadmon. In the Rotzen, everything is included. So what is this all Negeya? So we're just discussing over here the various different, according to the Kabbalah, various different levels, the level of Adam Kadmon, the level of the highest level of Adam Kadmon. We even went up to the level which is higher than Atzilus, the Chlolus, or in Atzilus, the Chlolus, the way it's higher than the Tzimtzum, than the Kav is Bekeya. So now, this was the avodah of the Yidden in the desert, the Masoes, to be mamshich always from the level of Ak into this world. The 42 journeys, they had two levels. One level was in the Siyah, going Chaniya and stop. It's going to explain that when you bring down a very high level, you can't bring it down all at once. You give and you stop, you pull back. You give again and you pull back. Because we were talking about being mamshich the level of Adam Kadmon, it needed to be two things. You go and stop. Can't keep on going. You see, Commercial Kosov, as it says, so when they journeyed and then when they rested. That is to go up and draw down. Motzaehem Sham Himodum Kadmon. The Amshocha comes from Odum Kadmon. That's why they had two levels. Nisiya v'chaniya. They had journey and resting. Cannot have Odum Kadmon come down in the world. Elo b'bchinas moti v'loy moti. Come and not come. Meaning there is Amshocha and stop. Dainu. As soon as it goes down, it goes up again. Because it comes from a very high place, which is Adam Kadmon. Over there it has to come in a way, come and not come. That means he cannot just come down, the slavish became mamash, to dress up in the kelim b'chinas gilu gomer, to be totally revealed. As soon as it comes, as miyad mistalik, v'nasa b'chinas v'loimoti. It comes, it goes right a ways away, and then it doesn't come. Because the vessel does not satisfy, it cannot really be revealed. It's too in a high place. So we call this run away to your place. Said to Bilam after he didn't succeed in Krishna, or the pasuk of Achai Rotzu Geshoy goes and comes back. The Hainu when it extends, immediately goes back to its place. Seems almost like this idea that we have a makiv that returns. What does it mean, makiv v'chayzin? So that first it goes in an inner way. Because the keli cannot contain it. Then it leaves it and becomes a makiv. So it seems like it's similar. Yet it's not the same thing. Why? For over there it leaves the keli. Now it remains only a makiv. It later on it gets it's not a makiv. It becomes a level of mokiv. Ein koyach b'kli hazeh lisbel ha'oir im loy b'yosem motiv le'moti. The only way of getting this oil is by being motiv le'moti adkan l'shoyna. Harei. So what do we see? Sharei shal koponim al yidei zeh yichel hakil lisbel ha'oir. That through this type of hamshachah, coming and not coming, the keli does tolerate the oil, not in a makiv. So this is a little bit of a different way of that. So that was to be mamshich from Odom Kadmon. And that's why they had the Nesiyah v'Chaniyah, motiv lemotiv. But the main purpose of the Nesiyah was halo milmato l'maylo, to bring up from below to above. That was the Leviim. The Leviim were the level of Gevura. Kohanim are Chesed. Vima Gevur Kaliyah or the Gevuras. Elevation is through Gevuras. The Gimel Leviim, you have the three families of the Leviim, which is Gershon, Kosum, Merori, and Gimel Yodis. Those are the three Yodis, which it says, with regards to Hashem, it says, Yada Gedoylo, Yada Chazoko, and Yada Rome. Each Yad is 14. 3 times 14 is 42. That equals the 42 Masoes, the 42 travels. And Gimel Yod is the Shem Mab, of the name of Mab, 42. Shal Yodom, that's the way the elevation takes place through the Leviim. The Inyan Gimel Yodis Elu b'nefesh ha'odom, as it translates in nefesh. When you see a nefesh la'Hashem, nevur mokamachar bedrush purim amaschil chay v'inish ki pirush kalkuyot yod al case yudkei. So there also you see the yad is yudalet case yudkei. We come yuvon al derech mashikosu beinyan madreges gimel Alevim Gershon across the Moror is saved to the Maschil by Daber the B'midbar Sinai. L'chein Ha'yalvim Gamkim Shemrim HaMikdash B'chof Aleph V'kefas. The Levim would guard the Beis HaMikdash with 21 places. The Mishnah Rechons enumerates where they would stand. She'ikira Shemira Ma'aklippus. The main spirit is from the Klippus, because it says Vazora Korav Yumas. Anybody that doesn't belong there shall die, so that their protection there. So that's all by the Levim. Vazora Kore Berai Mehemna, Parsha Shoftim Daf Reish Dalet Beis, or Parsha Tetzei Daf Reish Pei Beis. The Ayim is a Oid B'Zer Chelik Aleph Bereishis Lamed Aleph Aleph, and Chelik Beis Mishpatim Kuf Zayin Beis, and Berai Mehemna Chelik Gimel Tzav Chelik Gimel Tzav Lamed Gimel Seven Beis. Ayim Oid B'Pirish Ramaz B'Zer Mishpatim Salam Beis Yin Dishsa. All right, let's leave it over here.